What is up, everyone? It's MMORPG here, and today we actually got some new information on one of the most anticipated MMOs, Aion 2. They're running their very first focus group test for Aion 2 in Korea, and while the test is under pretty strict NDA, there has been some Korean players coming out telling us about their experience with this test. So this is a bit of a disclaimer. I took one of these reviews, I translated it, and I'm gonna be breaking it down. What did he think about the game so far? Talked about the combat, graphics, the content he played. So there's definitely some new exciting information about the game that we didn't really know about. So if you've been waiting for Aion 2, you're in the right place. Stick around. And if you find this video helpful, give it a like, subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out. Let's get right into it. So the first thing this guy really hammered home was the game's core identity. What does Aion 2 feel like? His description is simple and powerful. He said it feels like you're playing Aion 1's combat, but with Black Desert camera. It's like the classic Aion classes and skill identity pulled into the modern, over-the-shoulder action combat perspective. He did say that it created this kind of weird feeling of mix of Aion 1, Black Desert, a little bit of Blade and Soul, and even some mobile game elements. And for him, this mix didn't always work. So yeah, let's break down the most important piece of the puzzle, the combat. This is the big question everyone has. Is it tap target or action combat? The answer is both. It's a hybrid. He explained that your basic attacks are cone-based AoEs, hitting whatever is in front of you, just like in Black Desert or any other action MMO. Many of the key skills are still targeted. He played an assassin and mentioned that ambush skill, which requires you to lock on the target to execute. He said that this gave it a feel similar to Blade and Soul, which honestly to me, this sounds pretty amazing. The combination of Aion 1, Black Desert, and Blade and Soul, that would be pretty much the perfect combat for me. So far at this point, I felt like, oh wow, maybe the combat is better than I expected. But here's the first major red flag he raised, the controls. He said that the act of moving the camera to click on the target felt clunky, unintuitive, and just plain bad. For an action-oriented game, that is massive concern. He even stated that the combat in now defunct MMO Aion was significantly more fun than what he experienced in Aion 2. As for the skills themselves, it's a bit simpler than the original Aion. You have your main skills on keys 1 through 4, stigma system for skills 5 through 8, and then reactive skills on Q and E that light up in certain situations, like after you land a CC or perform a successful dodge. It actually sounds very similar to what we have on Blade and Soul, which is one of my favorite combat systems in any MMO, really. It sounds like a modern system, but I guess if the fundamental controls feel off, that's gonna be a huge problem. So sounds to me the combat is a little bit of a mixed bag at the moment, and it has some serious issues that NCSoft needs to fix. Good thing is that this is the first test they're running, so I'm hoping that Koreans give them some good feedback so they can actually fix the major control issues. But yeah, what about the content you're gonna be using the combat in? So I guess if the combat controls were like a letdown, the PvE content seems to be the highlight of this experience. He basically gave the PvE content 4.5 out of 5 stars and was absolutely blown away by it. He actually got to play the iconic Fire Temple. If you play Aion 1, you know what the Fire Temple is. And he got to play it on a max level, described it as incredibly fun. He fought the legendary boss Cromede and said that the fight was so damn well made, he was genuinely shocked. The action camera view made dodging her massive attacks incredibly engaging, something you just don't get in isometric view game like Lost Ark. He also said that Aion 2 is gonna have a similar dungeon system to World of Warcraft Mythic Plus Keystones, a system where you can challenge progressively harder dungeons for ranked rewards. So it seems like they really want to make serious, repeatable endgame PvE loops. Sounds kind of fantastic for people who love raids and dungeon crawling. So I guess the takeaway here is that the PvE in Aion 2 seems to be already in a pretty good spot, and it has a lot of potential. But then, there's the PvP. This one definitely hurts a little bit. He only gave PvP 2 out of 5 stars in his review. He said that it's extremely not fun. So what's wrong with the PvP? Biggest culprit was flight. Aion's signature mechanic actually ruined the fun of combat. He described how players could just pop their wings mid-fight and escape instantly. There's a massive burst of speed when you take off, making it almost impossible to lock them down. He said that it felt cheap and brought back all the worst memories of Aion 1's chaotic, flailing the sky combat. While he did mention neat features where some chase skills will automatically make you fly after fleeing a target, it wasn't enough to save the experience. The core of PvP felt frustrating and unsatisfying. Now he did add the caveat that he was playing an assassin in a large-scale realm versus realm fight, which might not be the ideal scenario for the class, but still 2 out of 5 is a pretty brutal and worrying score for the game with the legacy of PvP. At least to me, this sounds a bit of concerning, but the way they've been talking about the game, I do kind of expect the PvP to be a bit more of a side activity, and then the PvE is going to be kind of the main star of this game, which I'm completely fine with. Like, I'm always advocating for PvP that's optional, and I want to fight people that actually want to fight me. I don't want to go around killing the PvE players that don't even want to fight me. That's just boring as hell. So to me, so far, it sounds okay. Nothing that can't be fixed yet, in my opinion. But now the next part seems to be something that he was actually kind of shocked about. It's about the answers of the business model with the game. He said that the monetization doesn't have the Lineage-like feel. Try to look for the typical pay-to-win mechanics, item collection system, gacha, all of it, and it was not in this test. Instead, there was a battle pass. The monetization felt fair and completely different from NCSoft's other games. This is actually something that I saw in multiple reviews too, that they kind of talk about the monetization in a more positive way, which is wild to me when it comes to NCSoft. Obviously, because this is just the first test, they could be hiding it, you never know, and usually the pay to win comes later when the game is not doing too well. But then again, if they release this game without a lot of pay to win and it does well, then maybe they don't have incentive to do the pay to win. So we'll see. They also heavily praised the character customization. I think Aion is still one of the best character creators we have, so I'm glad to hear that they basically just made it even better because of the graphical fidelity. So you can probably create those weird characters in this game. Everyone is gonna run as a small character for the PvP hitboxes. He also talked about the mount system. The mounts don't seem to be just from the cash shop. He said that you can actually tame the monsters once you defeat them in the open world. You're fighting them and suddenly the creature can just be captured in your inventory as a mount and you can ride it immediately right there. It seems to be one of the highlights of his play experience, which sounds pretty awesome actually. I was kind of skeptical about the mounts in Aion because the flying was always the highlight and traveling through flight was kind of the core feature. But if they actually let you tame the monsters in the game, that sounds pretty awesome. But yeah, let's pull it all together. What is Aion 2 right now? It seems to be a game with pretty solid foundation already. PvE content seems to be quite the highlight. The game does have a lot of customization. It has a lot of player-friendly systems. It seems to have a fair business model so far. The graphics are really good. It also sounds like it's gonna be quite optimized, which would definitely be a surprise if this game was optimized. But it's definitely held back by some of the serious core issues. Apparently the UI feels really cheap and mobile-like. The sound was terrible apparently. And most importantly, the combat controls felt clunky and the PvP was bad. I think that pretty much says it all. Aion 2 has a potential. Content is there. The systems are there. It seems like they're gonna be respecting your wallet, which is a wild thing to say about NCSoft game. They just have to nail the core combat feeling and do something about the PvP experience. So I guess the good news is this was just the first focus group test. This is exactly what they are for. Get the feedback, fix the game, and maybe we have more competition in the future of MMORPGs than expected, honestly. But yeah, there you have it. The first actual kind of information about Aion 2. This did make me a bit more optimistic about the game. I kind of wrote it off completely. I didn't expect NCSoft to be able to make a good game again. But to be fair, this game actually sounds better than I expected from these reviews. Obviously, we have a very limited amount of reviews and they're all from Korea, so we have to try the game for ourselves before making any kind of final judgments on the game. I'm actually curious to hear, what do you guys think about Aion 2? Let me know down in the comments. Are you excited? Do you think it's possible for NCSoft to create a fair business model in their MMORPG? I would love to hear that. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please like this video, subscribe to my channel. That would be amazing. I will try to keep up with the Aion 2 news. Until next time, take care. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.